There's been another update when it comes to something surrounding the internet computer, and even though nothing I say is financial advice, it's regarding caffeine AI. Now here's the thing. Dfinity not too long ago, they made a post talking about how there are several updates, right, when it comes to caffeine. For instance, they added something called speech to text. So basically, it's kind of like hypothetically speaking arguably an app into hypothetical existence, I suppose. Not to mention, I take a look at how there's another update regarding web search. More specifically, this kind of allows, for instance, bringing live internet data into builds. And those are just some of the ones I want to highlight, so I find that pretty cool when it comes to Dfinity. Now, they're still even caring about this, right? Some people out there like to say, oh, ICP, it's around 27 times lower than $100. Like, who cares about this? Did Dfinity give up? Well, I don't think so. I mean, they're still caring about it. They even bother to make updates when it comes to something like Caffeine AI. Keep in mind, this is relatively new. You know what I mean? Some of the projects out there, they simply launch things just for the sake of it, and then they don't really care. But it seems like Dfinity is still caring about this. Keep in mind, when it comes to just the idea of Caffeine AI, right? Supposedly it's a self-running apps platform. Like, did I ask for it? No. Did all of my friends ask for it? No. I wouldn't even have thought about it. You know what I mean? Had they not launched it, when it comes to Dfinity, of course. But the thing is, they launched it, it's there, and I think it actually is, hypothetically, in my perspective, the most dynamic thing that Dfinity has done throughout the existence of it when it comes to things surrounding the internet computer. Let me explain why. Because if I take a look at the idea of the internet computer, I find it pretty cool, but ever since, we saw the internet computer, what really kind of made anything that dynamic happen to it? Like, I don't think that many actually. Of course, when I take a look at chain fusion, it was pretty cool. Seeing, for instance, something like the Solana and ICP integration, that's pretty cool. But I think that was not really kind of a mover, It's not really a needle mover. You know what I mean? It was pretty cool. Like, for instance, it's just like a nice to have type of thing. But it wasn't really that dynamic. I feel like Caffeine AI was that dynamic cherry on top when it comes to something like the internet computer. But the thing is, the timing was not necessarily the best when it comes to the hypothetical price. But I don't think it matters too much because in the grand scheme of things, when a project wants to launch something, they don't necessarily have to wait for the hypothetical perfect price moment because, in my perspective, if the project is thinking about the long term, this type of stuff right here, I don't think it's really going to matter too much in the grand scheme of things. Like, for instance, 5 years later, or let's say 10 years later, am I going to be caring about, when was exactly Caffeine AI launched? I'm not going to care about that. Now, granted, though, when it comes to this, people like to say, well, the adoption when it comes to Caffeine AI isn't the best. I'm totally aware of that. But in the meantime, I think that just the concept of it is pretty revolutionary within this space because we're seeing many of the internet computer's competitors, they're not really doing anything. In which case, I mean, it is what it is. A lot of them are massive, and ICP is pretty massive, actually, in terms of the grand scheme of things, in terms of market cap. I mean, it is still top 50 in the world, But in the meantime, though, I mean, we see a lot of other projects out there. They're not really doing much. I like what's going on when it comes to Dfinity in terms of what they're trying to do. That's just my point of view, right? And also on top of that, when I take a look at the internet computer, people like to tell me, well, no one's really going to care about something like this because there's something like Solana, because there's something like the BNB chain, for instance. So there's something like Ethereum. I'm totally aware of that. But the thing is there only one brand of watches, for instance? No. Like, for instance, I'm using a Casio, like a G-Shock, right? I actually got this from Japan, but I'm just saying, when it comes to this, I mean, there's a bunch of brands out there. So when it comes to this space, I think sometimes it's hypothetically not that different. Like when it comes to watches, there's Casio, but then there's also Swatch. There's, again, just a bunch of brands. When it comes to this, is it only just going to be Ethereum, Solana, and the BNB chain? Not really. I think, again, we even see many layer 1 blockchains currently. Like for instance, there's something like Algorand as of right now. There's something like Avalanche. There's a lot of layer 1 blockchains out there. There's a lot of competitors actually within this space of layer 1 blockchains and also just blockchains in general. So when it comes to this space, I don't think it's necessarily that oversaturated when it comes to the quality projects. That's just my point of view. And I don't think it's just only going to be one thing that does something and the rest don't really do anything, because an enterprise, for instance, sometimes they care about this type of stuff. And the thing is, if I take a look at something like the internet computer, when I take a look at just the speed that it has, when it comes to, let's say, the gas fees, when it comes to the internet computer, my kind of perspective is this. Maybe in the retail side of things, I'm not going to really care about stuff like this, right? A lot of my friends probably don't care. But if we just think about something that is hypothetically, like just in a make-believe scenario, if let's say a certain project has a transaction speed of like 500 milliseconds, and then another one has 480 milliseconds. In the retail side of things, that 20 millisecond difference, I'm not talking about just the internet computer, I'm just saying generally speaking, right? That 20 millisecond difference right there for an enterprise, if we take a look at that, if we count it over days, over months, over years, we just got to imagine what that would amount to over time. For instance, if someone is just using a certain blockchain once a month, that kind of speed difference right there, it's not really going to matter because it's just once a month or just 20 milliseconds. Who really cares? But if an enterprise is doing that every single day, every single week, month, years, it's going to probably matter. So when I take a look at the internet computer, sometimes you like to say, oh, who cares if it's hypothetically faster than this competitor, or if it's just, kind of a little bit better than this one, who really cares? Again, in the retail side of things, it may not really matter too much, but then in the enterprise side of things, I think that's when it could truly shine. But we haven't really seen, I think, mass scale adoption when it comes to the internet computer in terms of the enterprise side of things. But to me, at least I just have that feeling where maybe it could hypothetically be built for that, right? Where it feels a little bit ready for something like that if the time were to ever come, whereas some other projects out there, it doesn't really feel like it's built from the ground up to do something like that. Because when it comes to the internet computer, we have to take a look at the aspects that Dfinity keeps talking about, like regarding things being on-chain and stuff like that. Because if we take a look at being able to run AI models entirely on-chain when it comes to the internet computer, I find that pretty cool because some of its competitors, it's not really built for that. Because the internet computer, it was kind of built from the ground up to handle stuff like that. That's just my point of view. So I feel like it's a little bit better prepared for things running fully on-chain and maybe arguably even just enterprise adoption in general. But sometimes that could take quite a while, but at least I feel like fundamentally maybe it could handle it. Who knows? This is why I'm still staying patient when it comes to ICP, but I just wanted to make an updated video real quick because Dfinity did make an update talking about Caffeine AI. So yeah, I just wanted to make a video when it comes to that, even though, of course, when it comes to ICP, hypothetically, it's not doing the best in terms of price. But you know what? A bunch of altcoins are also not doing good. So I just wanted to make this updated video real quick. And I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a nice day. It's Willie the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.